doesn't make sense to constantly be at full power. Since I can't hold 20% for very long, I should combine the 2nd and 6th lessons I learned. I'll control the percentage on one body part and raise it to 20% for a split second. A focused blast! That could work! One for all, full cowling at 8%. And then, at the moment of the attack, boost to 20%!
Hello everybody, Megazord X here. I'm back at it again to give y'all another very exciting episode review over My Hero Academia. This time I'm going to be reviewing episode 82 called Prepping for the School Festival as the Funnest Part. And if you haven't already checked out my episode 81 review of My Hero Academia, you can go ahead and click that card in the corner and check that video out and then come back, bounce over and watch this one though. But man, I gotta say, for the most part, with this episode, it was a pretty laid back episode. Not a whole lot of craziness kind of, going on or whatever though. Some people might sort of kind of consider this as mostly like a filler episode. Like there's not like a whole lot of plot though, but the thing I really do like about these kind of episodes is it just allows us to kind of explore more into just the 1A, all the different characters within class 1A, and just diving a little bit deeper into their characters because for the most part, as I previously iterated a lot of times leading up to this though within the different episode reviews, we hadn't got to see the rest of this class be super active within the first half of this season though. So I'm glad, everybody's kind of getting a little bit of the spotlight from this point going forward though. And honestly, there was a lot of different funny comedic effects with Mineta and other stuff like that though. And honestly, I had a pretty good, fun, enjoyable time with this episode though. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and dive straight up into this episode review over My Hero Academia. If you're gonna make music, you need instruments, and if you got instruments, you need somebody to play them. Thus, for the first half of this week's episode, it's all about 1As hashing out who will be rocking the house for their school festival event. Mineta quickly learns that his stubby character design just isn't made for strumming the axe. Now let's just back this up real quick though. That was one moment I really enjoyed about this episode was, matter of fact, he sort of kind of almost broke the fourth wall and said, his character design would not allow him to rock the guitar or the bass. I was like, what the heck, Mineta? Oh man, I had to cover my mouth because I was just about to lose myself though, but oh gosh. But Kaminari and Tokiyami are more than suited for that role though, and Yazurosu, sophisticated rich kid that she is a trained pianist and perfect for the rhythm section. And if there was ever a girl born to play bass, it's Jiro. That just leaves vocals and percussion, both of which can get decided with a little more deliberation. Reluctant as she is to admit it, turns out that Jiro also has a pretty darn good singing voice. And I'm not sure if the singing from this episode is performed by Kai Shindo, who is, Japanese voice actor for her, or if the English voice actor sung it, which I highly doubt it because it really honestly did not sound like it though. So most likely, or if they brought in a dedicated vocalist, but either way, they did a good job of selling that her voice would be striking, especially for an untrained teenager. Now this moment honestly reminded me of Lillian's performance from Dr. Stone, because I remember with that one episode where she was singing, which she sung like quite a different few times throughout the anime though, or whatever though. But I know because whenever I was reviewing that one, I figured out they actually hired somebody from Europe to actually sing that one song for her though. And I don't know, it's just something about that vibe that when Jiro was singing, I was like, it just kind of gave me some similar vibes from Lillian from Dr. Stone. I just don't know how they do this stuff though, but man, that just sounded so beautiful and so pleasing to the ear though. But man, I'm looking forward to hearing that full version of whatever the song she's gonna wind up singing though. And meanwhile, it turns out Bakugo's been hiding the talent for the drums this whole entire time. It makes a surprising amount of sense that the Lord of Explosion Murder will have a preference for percussion, simultaneously the loudest and most complex instrument if you have a standard rock band. What's more surprising is that he actually be willing to play along the rest of the class. But, as always, Bakugo is more observant than you expect, and he's realized that for all of 1A's good intentions, their gesture to cheer up the rest of the school is coming off pretty patronizing to some of their peers, so he agrees to join on one condition. This can't just be about charity. It's got to be a show of their own indomitable spirit in the face of all the villains and dangers they face. It's a pretty thoughtful and unique way for Bakugo to start implementing all of All Might's advice to save by winning and win by saving, even without his hero license, to inspire their compatriots by showing that they won't be brought down by anything. Deku, on the other hand, has a more traditional bit of training to undergo. He's been coping as well as, which that can be expected after the raid of Shie Hazakai, but as usual, all he can see is his own failures during the fight. All Might recognizes by now that the boy's got a habit of stewing in his own shortcomings, and wisely decides to give him a concrete goal to strive for in his quest to master One for All. It's time for him to start learning long-range attacks on top of his punches and kicks. Funnily enough, this is actually the first move we ever saw All Might perform in person, the Texas Smash. He used the free Deku from that sludge villain way back in the premiere, way back in season 1. And it's a versatile one that promises to greatly expand Deku's options in a fight. Given the guilt he's carrying over how things turn out with Night Eye, it's also a good way to keep the kid motivated and moving forward when he needs it the most. Now, he'll be getting even more motivation in the near future if our new villains have anything to say about it. No longer content with his low views on his regular petty crimes, General Criminal has set his sights on a new height of villainy, crashing a high school festival. Truly, his evil knows no bounds. In all seriousness though, a villain managing to break into UA for the third time actually could do a lot to shake the confidence of the institution. More impressively, it risks ruining the whole show and preventing Eri from enjoying herself, something both she and her rescuers, that including Izuku as well as Togeda, may need this more than they realize. These are far from the highest stakes My Hero Academia has dabbled in, and it's a conflict rooted in character, which makes it work. On one side, Eri deserves all the happiness in the world, and if anyone tried to prevent that, they deserve to be Detroit smashed into the ground. On the other hand though, Gentle and La Brava had managed to charm me with their few minutes of screen time, because in that way that they've been kind of showcasing these characters, they've been pretty unique, and sneaking into the most secure superhero fortress in the world would make for a pretty sweet video. Regardless of how the scales shift, Episode 82 is mostly a laid-back and enjoyable showcase of My Hero Academia's ensemble cast, with a few solid tidbits of character development in the works. But soon we'll have to put the fun behind us and ask what the most difficult question ever, which could be, what will Jirio and the others name their band? I mean, they got the band together. I mean, they got to come up with a sweet sounding name. With Bakugo rocking on them drums, and you got Jiro, doing the vocalist, and you got Tokuyami over there on that bass and stuff. Man, y'all gotta bring a really awesome name to the table though. But all thoughts aside, that's pretty much it in terms of my review for this week's episode though. But I gotta say, you know what? It was a pretty fun episode. A lot of good different comedy up in the episode, and overall, I've just been kind of liking the laid back kind of pace since we're just coming off of that previous arc though. So I think it's just something that's it should be a good little fun little ride though. But I'm really curious to see what can General Criminal and La Brava actually bring to the stage, because it seems like they're starting to get a little bit more active, and we're going to probably start to see a little bit more screen time of them coming in the future as we slowly kind of get a little bit deeper within this arc though. But overall, man, a really fun, sweet episode though, and I'm really looking forward to what My Hero Academia has in store for us next. But that is all that I have for y'all for this week's episode review over My Hero Academia. So you really like this video, go ahead and hit that like button, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and that bell to keep up to date on all things My Hero Academia. It's a race against time as the students prepare for the school festival. Meanwhile, General Criminal is putting together his plans to infiltrate the school. Will General Criminal manage to crack the code and get in? And what would this mean for our fellow heroes and the festival if he manages to sneak in? We'll have to find out about this and more in next week's episode review called Golden Tips Imperial. So remember, y'all, until whatever video I make next, go beyond. Plus Ultra!